Good morning, and welcome to our Unitarian Universalist Church of Sarasota and our Lakewood Ranch Unitarian Universalists, as well as our visitors. My name is the Reverend Doug Watkins. I am the interim senior minister here, and I am joined this morning by our associate minister, the Reverend Beth Miller, and our special pulpit guest, the Rev Margalie Belizaire. I will tell you more about Reverend Belizaire in a moment, but now we will begin our service with our prelude by Don Brin. We offer a very special welcome to our visitors this morning. You had to go to the homepage to start the live stream. We hope that while you're there, you'll take a moment to find the banner that is marked Welcome Visitors. If you click on that, it will take you to a special page that gives you a lot of information about Unitarian Universalism, as well as about this congregation. While you're there, you can sign our virtual guest book. If you do that, we will send you our contact, our newsletter, for several weeks so that you can get to know us better. It's also a way for you to get the Zoom links of the various programming that we offer throughout the week. We really do welcome you to try out what you're able to get more of a connection with the community in the coming weeks. You'll also notice on that page that there is a donate button. During the pandemic, we continue to have upkeep of our facilities. We offer a full set of programming as well as paying our staff. And so your generosity matters deeply to us. Whatever you can do today to support our ongoing work will make a difference. We invite you after the service to join us for a coffee hour. We begin together in a Zoom room, and then we break into smaller groups so that you can have a few minutes of check-in time and conversation with each other. It really is a very meaningful way to make connections here during this time when that is a more precious gift than ever. I hope you will plan to join us. Our guest minister will join us for a few minutes to say hello. Speaking of our guest minister, Rev Margalie writes this about herself. Unitarian Universalism has been life-saving. She became a Unitarian Universalist after following the advice of a friend who asked her to check them out. And she says, I have not looked back. Reverend Margalie grew up in Miami, Florida, and has lived on at least 3 continents and has been introduced to numerous cultures and languages. We are really very pleased to have her with us this morning. We have a couple of announcements for you. The Florida legislature is in session right now, which will undoubtedly offer us many opportunities for activism. So we invite you to check out the social justice section of the Contact for ongoing opportunities to participate in Florida legislative action alerts throughout the month. Your efforts really can make a difference in this time. We also have been in ongoing conversation over the last weeks around the proposed 8th principle. There are at least 2 more conversations coming up around that. There is one on March 9th at 5 p.m. and one on March 14th, a Sunday, at 2 p.m. This is both an opportunity to be in conversation with each other, but also to learn more about the 8th principle and what it's all about. I hope you will make a special effort to engage one of those 2 times, or both, if you are able. In just a moment, we will have our chalice lighting, so I invite you to find a candle or your own chalice at home to be ready.
Our opening words are the words of Margaret Weiss. Come into this place. Come into this place with your whole self, the parts that are raw and exposed, the part that is beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Come into this place. Open your heart. Lay down your burden. Lift up your hope for something new to happen. Come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey. Some new faces, some others familiar, and all welcoming you now to this moment. Come, let us worship together.
Thank you and welcome, Margalie. And now let us light the chalice this morning in honor of our 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Our opening hymn is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
now invite you in the spirit of prayer, which will be followed by about a minute of silent meditation. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, and open your heart, your ears, and your mind. We have gathered here this morning as a people of faith. We bring with us our joys as well as our sorrows. We bring our fears and our moments of boldness. Whatever you bring with you, there is space for it here. Come as you are. There is space here for all of us to be held in love. Spirit of love and hope. Spirit of accountability. Be with us today in this present moment and moving forward as we navigate a new beginning in our country and in our lives, as every moment is an opportunity to begin anew. And as we anticipate a future where we can gather together in person, together with our loved ones. Open our hearts to deeper and greater love and to broader understanding of what it means to be interdependent of one another. May we boldly take our place in this work of supporting each other's growth. May we be both courageous and kind. And may we do it all with love in our hearts. May it be so.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life and shape of justice. Roots hold me close, winds set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our reading this morning is from Margaret Wheatley, and it's entitled, I lost it. Here we go. Acknowledging interconnectedness requires that we take responsibility for noticing how we affect other people, that we realize how our behavior and our choices impact others, even at a distance. Before the culture of rampant individualism took over, traditional societies had for millennia based their cultures on profound knowledge of enlightenment. Most cultures, even today, have words and concepts to describe it. In South Africa, the word is Ubuntu. Archbishop Tutu describes it this way: Ubuntu means my humanity is inextricably bound up in yours. We belong in a bundle of life. We say a person is a person through other people. It is not, I think, therefore I am. It says rather, I am human because I belong. Now have an interlude, loving kindness.
Should you and I find ourselves communicating via email, you'd likely notice that my signature tagline reads, "With grace and loving kindness." I chose grace because I want to be intentional about offering grace when things don't go as planned. We just never know what challenges someone might be facing as we interact with them. So I figure, why add to another's burden if it can be helped? And I chose loving kindness because it is. Should you and I find ourselves communicating via email, you'd likely notice that my signature tagline reads, "With grace and loving kindness." I chose grace because I want to be intentional about offering grace when things don't go as planned. We just never know what challenges someone might be facing as we interact with them. So I figure, why add to another's burden if it can be helped? And I chose loving kindness because it is my aspiration to show up in the world whenever possible with a heart filled with love and kindness. The phrase loving kindness I adopted from the Buddhist metta practice of sending loving kindness to all being, starting with the self and moving outward to the universe at large. And this is done by sending well wishes, meditating on certain phrases. Some of the better known ones are, "May I be well," "May you be happy," "May you be free from suffering," "May all beings be at ease." As the Metta Sutta, the Buddhist discourse on loving kindness, starts, "This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace." I don't know about you, but I would love to be skilled in goodness. The discourse continues with characteristics of such a person and how they ought to be loving and kind towards all beings, omitting none, and wishing in gladness and in safety, "May all beings be at ease." So at the center of this way of living is care and gentleness and forgiveness. It is free from hatred and ill will. I heard a practitioner recently say that in every situation, one should ask, what is the kind thing to do? Now, because we live in a world where might is right, where we can easily be impressed by hubris masquerading as confidence, we sometimes see shows of affection, of peacefulness, and gentleness as weakness, when in fact, they can be positions of strength. The problem in part lies with our interpretation of what it means to show kindness, how we view warm heartedness, soft heartedness, friendliness, displays of sympathy. We confuse kindness with pushoverness. We expect that if someone who is kind will allow others to trample all over them, will not hold people accountable for their actions. The idea of being nicey nice. Moreover, I think that many who have a propensity towards kindness also hold those sentiments as if they have forfeited the right to say enough or to insist that there be consequences for poor behavior. It is not mean nor unkind to assert those things. Still, it can be hard for some to imagine kindness and accountability working hand in hand. It can be seen as lacking in charity to hold someone for their wrongdoings, because we've heard of situations, right, where the whistleblower, for example, is vilified. Rightfully so, accountability comes with consequences, and consequences don't generally feel good. I remember some years back when I was leading a department that I inherited with lots of issues around employee motivation. There was a lot of absenteeism and tardiness. I recall this woman in particular who was consistently tardy. I mean, 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes to an hour. She had no sick days on the books because she used them as quickly as they became available. I remember having conversations with her about her life and what was preventing her from reporting to work. I also talked with her about ways to help improve her arrival time and attendance. I was doing all of that while simultaneously writing her up and issuing consequences. She once said to me during a disciplinary meeting while chuckling, "You're the soft-spoken lady who carries a long stick. I'm always surprised when you write me up. You're always so gentle about it." It was as if I was going to call an employee to task, it needed to be done with rudeness and certainly without care. I personally never found it necessary to be uncivil when participating in the disciplinary process. I have needed to be firm, yes, explicitly clear, yes, and I need to be competitive in my actions, yes, but not unloving or uncaring. Kindness and accountability do work quite well together, I have found. Now, there are many things I am not good at, and I'm not perfect at this one either, but I do work on treating people kindly. And when I fall short, as I often do, I try again. We owe it not only to the other person, but also to ourselves to do this. We must love ourselves and each other enough to help one another grow and learn and become better human beings. That's where the question, what is the kind thing to do, comes in. It is not compassionate to let people run amok without consequences for their actions, or to let them continue to engage in harmful and injurious behavior, whether it is towards us or someone else. with less power and autonomy. To be kind and loving in a productive and healthy way means to show strength and to decide nicey nice. As the social justice activist Valerie Kerr states, love is labor, love is work, and love can be modeled, it can be taught, it can be practiced. We need this type of loving kindness, this tough love, in order to change us and the world for the better. A love where people are required to take responsibility for their actions. We who use our people of faith that aspires to respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. As a denomination, we honor our connection to and dependency to other beings. As Margaret Watley notes in the reading from earlier, acknowledging interconnectedness requires that we take responsibility for noticing how we affect other people, that we realize how our behavior and choices impact others, even at a distance. How we affect other people and how our behavior and choices impact others include what we do to disrupt wrongdoings. Just one call to account can put someone on a different path and result in growth and deeper development. If not for that person, then for the one doing the calling out. Our doings change us and others, for better and for worse. Choosing to intervene or not to intervene impacts our collective movement forward as individuals, as units, as a church community, as cities, countries, and as the world and beyond. Of course, we individually decide to act or to make a stand, but the effects are experienced by others near and far. It continues that before the culture of rampant individualism took over, traditional societies had for millennia based their cultures on profound knowledge of enlightenment. Most cultures, even today, have words and concepts to describe it. Current events have shown us how incomplete the idea of individualism is with regards to living the stories of our lives as social beings. The state of our union and the pandemic have shown us how much we depend on one another. How much whether we live or die rests on our interactions. True, we need to have a sense of agency, but even that is done within the framework of community. Watley went on to talk about the South African idea of Ubuntu, which it's described as, my humanity is cut up, is inextricably bound up in yours. We belong in a bundle of life. We say a person is through other people. It is not, I think, therefore I am. It is rather, I am human because I belong. Dear ones, we belong to one another and we are inextricably bound up with one another in a bundle of life. A bundle of life. How poetically beautiful. There is comfort in that, and yet it is at the same time disconcerting. Because we can't be free of one another, nor can we be free without one another. We are beholden to each other, and we stunt our collective enlightenment when we fail to act with this important truth in mind. And that is neither kind nor loving. A little bit more than a month ago, we inaugurated President Biden and Vice President Harris with all the fanfare associated with such events. We sensed a change in tone and path from the previous administration. The inclusive displayed alone felt promising, as representation does matter. What was most impressive for me was that this new president and his inaugural address invoked we quite a lot. He talked about the work ahead of us, how what lays ahead was not up to him alone, that we had our part to play in fortifying our democracy. He also mentioned how the soul of our nation was at stake, a phrase he's uttered before. It's interesting, though, to speak of the soul in relationship to democracy. Even so, he is certainly not the first to speak of democracy in spiritual terms. Activist and author Terry Tempest Williams connects it to the heart and notes that the human heart is the first home of democracy. It is where we embrace our questions. Can we be equitable? Can we be generous? Can we listen with a whole being, not just our minds, and offer our attention rather than our opinions? And do we have enough resolve in our hearts to act courageously, relentlessly, without ever giving up, ever, and trusting our fellow citizens to join with us in our determined pursuit of a living democracy? Notice how many times William uses love language. Democracy nestles in our hearts, she claims. For me, the heart is the deepest and most sacred part of us. So even here in this work of reclaiming our democracy, it is a labor of love. And now more than ever, we need courageous love. We need relentless love. Tough love infused with kindness so that we are able to take the risk of holding a mirror to another. And if we're lucky, someone will do the same for us. Because of our interconnectedness, we are impacted by each other's deeds, whether we or not we choose to be a part of the process. Let's choose to be full participants. Let's choose to care in whatever shape the caring needs us to show up. May all beings be radically and fierce. May all beings be loved radically and fiercely. May we do the kind thing in all situations. May we call ourselves and others to account. And may all beings be at ease.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others,
we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone,
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity,
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusions of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Our closing words are words that I find that I come back to over and over again, and they are the words of Reverend Joseph Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving.
We are so deeply grateful for Reverend Belizaire's wise and timely message this morning. We now turn to our chalice again. We extinguish this chalice, but not the love of uniting wisdom, the fire of our commitment to the good work of kindness and accountability. We do not extinguish the warmth of community. These remain in our living with intention until we gather again. So may it be.